You are listening to the Built to Grow podcast, delivering the knowledge in all things fitness business. We help gym owners win. Here are your hosts, Tim Lyons and Randy Engston.
All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, ProFit Studio HQ, sunny Scottsdale, joined somebody new today, the patriarch of productivity, Randy Engston. What is that guy?
Same face, little longer beard.
Yeah, are we gonna let that thing go, or what are we doing?
Well, it's gonna be groomed, managed, but
Yours comes like
length.
way under.
Well,
like
I don't. Yeah, let the back fill.
Yeah, it comes in. Come in front. I keep mine trimmed. I get it trimmed like every 10 days or so.
I don't even get my hair cut that often.
Well, I don't get my hair cut. Just the beard.
Just the beard touch up? Oh, yeah.
I do a beard. There's like a barber shop that they just do beards.
Yep.
It's cool. It's good stuff. Okay, off topic. But, a couple cool things. So you've probably heard us talking about CLA course. That's our client lifecycle automation course. Do it yourself in the comfort of your own home. Set up the automations. Get that thing working for you. And it kind of ties into this episode a little bit because we're talking about employees and staff and roles and responsibilities and having systems in place kind of it replaces or at least helps with employees, right? So if they're not doing as well. So check that out. That thing is pretty much ready to go. You'll see all the information at clacourse.com. We're excited about that. It's a walkthrough step-by-step. Get this thing set up, how to connect it to all your lead sources, how to connect it to your website, how to move people through the process, what it does. We've got the emails in there written for you, the text message scripts. It's good to go. It's ready to rock.
It's loaded.
Yep. So today, episode, 96, I think?
7?
Oh, boy.
I think we're on 7.
7? Okay. Well, you're looking at your screen. You kind of see what it is. But something that comes up quite a bit in just about every gym. Once, you get to a point of scale, you're not a solopreneur doing it yourself anymore. It's time to talk about roles and responsibilities of staff and how to do it and why it's important and how you can put the wrong people in the wrong seats on that bus and things could fall apart real quick. So
that's a big one, is especially that part of it.
Okay. So I'll start this, this is part of our coaching. This is something we do in our private client coaching group, but we get way more in depth. But one of the things that will never change in any business is the functions of things that need to happen.
Yes.
Right? So you need to have specific things happening every day, regardless of who's doing them. They have to get done, or else the business stagnates. Like super simple, 30,000 foot view. Somebody needs to answer the phone. Who does that? How is it done? Somebody needs to train the client. Somebody needs to meet with clients and do the sales consultations. Somebody needs to clean the gym. Somebody needs to pay the bills. Somebody needs to design the programs. Those are all functions. Those have to happen or else you're not in business, right?
Yeah.
And so if you simplify everything down to the functions, then things start to make a little bit more sense. We've talked about E-Myth as a book, Michael Gerber. It's a great book for entrepreneurs, and it's really talking about, having even if you're not ever planning on franchising or doing multiple locations, you still build your perfect prototype of what it would be. And part of that is the functions of what needs to happen and who does them.
Yeah.
And that goes into the organizational structure and the chart and the job responsibilities and all this stuff. So we're going to dive in a little bit.
Let's do that. Yeah, it's one of the first things that we step into in our coaching program early on.
Yeah, week 2. Week 2. A lot of times as the gym owner or the solopreneur or the fitnesspreneur, if you want to call it that, you're doing all of the things. And that's okay to a point. You're going to get to a point where you can't. You can't physically do everything.
And you shouldn't.
And you shouldn't. You shouldn't do everything. And that kind of ties to our last episode.
Yep.
We talked about your time versus what it's worth versus what you can pay somebody to do that. Some of the times the first hire could be another coach. Sometimes it could be an admin. So depends on the direction of your facility. Like who's the one answering the phones? It can't always be you. So maybe that's the admin who's running and getting office supplies, who's, mailing stuff out, who's calling the clients when their credit cards expire. You should have somebody doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Working with a coach or a client, I should say, who is a coach, but went to his gym, and one of the biggest things was he has declined payments sitting in his mind and body.
Yeah.
And they really wasn't a process. It was, well, I'll call these people, or if I don't get to it, somebody else will, or an accountant will. That should just be with one person.
And like a day-to-day. That should
Every
be like
day.
5 minutes of somebody's first thing in the morning. I mean, going back to, when I was a banker, that was my first responsibility every morning when I got in.
What?
Every overdrawn account that was created in our...
Call them?
Yeah, we called them. And one, it was done from a lot of times it keeps your client happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't, of course, they're upset about a fee or something like that, but at the same time, now they know. You know what I mean? Like, let's rectify the problem now when it was $35 instead of $285 in fees.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that more often than not, they were thanking us. But simple, easy, get on top of that. That's money out the door.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest things and I told him, like, you've got money sitting here waiting to be collected. They've already agreed to pay this. Their credit card probably expired, or they had fraud and they shut the card down or whatever. You need to attack these. And so having somebody responsible for the functions is key, right? Is key. Now, we always talk about positions in the organization as seats on the bus, right? If you're in the wrong seat, we could either switch seats for, like, let's put it, for example, you've got somebody that's doing sales for you and they're not closing anybody.
Sure.
And, they're just not a good fit. Doesn't mean you don't fire them. Maybe there's a different seat to put them on. Maybe there's a different role they could be in the business, or maybe you kick them off the bus and you keep driving down the street. These are all things you have to figure out. And one of the best things that we did early on was we did a personality assessment called a DISC assessment, DISC, and that really gave us some insight to the roles that people should be in. There's and I don't know these memorized, but like a D is a high DI would be somebody that's like good at sales, and somebody that's an SC is more organized and needs to have structure and be told what to do and work off a list. And then even behind the DISC assessment, then there's these like things that drive them, internal drivers,
motivators.
Like maybe it's monetary, maybe it's one of them's political, maybe it's altruistic, which is giving to charities and things like that. Maybe those are the things that they are really passionate about, and that's how you manage your people, is using the assessment to kind of the way to speak to them, the roles that they're in. Positions that they hold, and things that you have them do, like the duties, like the functions of the business. Once you get that laid out and you got this perfect team, then things change.
Yeah.
That's when things change.
Yeah.
Because you could have somebody, something else that DISC assessment does, it tells you that this is how somebody's core values are, but here's how they've altered them to be in the position. And when you have this big discrepancy between, somebody that's really high in doing something, but they've had to like switch their, I guess, internal core values to do something else for the position, that's when those people are unhappy, and then they end up leaving.
Yeah.
Or they don't do their job as well.
Yeah, and a DISC assessment is huge. I like it for multiple reasons, and we with our coaching clients, I recommend that they do this every time they have a new hire, every few months at a time, every 6 months or so. Just the business, everybody should, and then the business owner should have a copy of each of their employees' DISC assessments. Reason being, communication is huge. I mean, what's the book? The Languages of Love, I think, is a relationship book based upon similar idea, right? Like, how do you show and receive affection in a relationship? Well, that's great. I mean, if you're a certain type and your partner is the opposite, and you're just only showing them affection the way that you're used to receiving it, there's a disconnect. Well, with a DISC assessment, we can take that to business, and we can ensure that the right people are in the right roles, or that we're incentivizing the right employee in the right way. With trainers, this is a very common topic. Trainers aren't necessarily motivated by money. They're typically that personality type that's motivated by the result of the client. They would do that job because they care. They're passionate. They love the result and changing the life of the individual in front of them. The monetary gain is a bonus. I mean, it's not, but it's not a driving force. It's not like the bonus that they're working towards and they need a hit. So finding other ways of incentivizing a trainer that's in that role, they might respond a hell of a lot greater than here's a bonus based on money.
Right.
So that's one aspect. I like a DISC assessment also, and this is not to go too far off topic, but from a sales stance, when you start to understand the different personality types that people fall into, when you start to ask questions, open-ended questions in a sales conversation, you start to learn the motivators of that individual, and then you can steer the conversation to what resonates with the person you're speaking with. So just another side thought for that.
Yeah, and in fact, there's a free online assessment. It's TonyRobbins.com/DISC. So TonyRobbins.com/DISC is a free one. You're going to have to opt in. You'll go on to Tony's list, and you can always opt out later, but they give it to you within minutes, right? So it takes about 15 minutes to go through, whatever. And when we got those back, it was really, really cool, eye-opening. Some things were obvious, like, of course, this is the way this person is. And the other ones were like, wow. And when you get one on yourself, that's really cool, too. And you're like, when you read it, it's like, yeah, that's exactly how I am.
It's like a, I want to say like a real-life astrology. Like, you're an Aries. Like, let me get my
palm readings,
because it's your personality. Like when you get your own back, usually it's like yep, that's me, totally. You get it because you've answered the questions that steer you into that personality.
It's so cool.
But like you said, when you get certain individuals back in your organization, sometimes you see these breakthroughs. Like, holy crap, I've put this person in this chair that is entirely the wrong seat for them.
Yes.
And that's where there's power into rearranging your bus.
Right. Rearranging the bus, the seats on the bus. I think it's an important thing to talk about. Again, not something you're going to be learning in school. You learn this on the job, on the fly, and and that's why you're listening to the show, because we've been there, done that, and we're still doing it. And we've come a long way, obviously, since 2009 and things that we were doing then. But we've leveraged that in both companies to really. Right, to put people in the right roles, incentivize them the right ways, and it's been great, I think. I mean, we've moved people around a little bit, but...
I mean, even if it's shared, like, at the end of the day, like you're talking, functions of the business, we don't need to take necessarily the entire job and move somebody into an entirely different role.
Moving the functions,
but there's some small functions within that as you're setting up your organizational chart, certain tasks, right? Maybe it's program design. Right? Like, is there a trainer that's one of the things that really motivates them is the actual functions of putting together
and that goes into the behavioral drivers, which is, I think that one is political, that they're in charge of a thing. And if they're in charge of program design, or if they're in charge of something else, maybe it's nutrition or outreach to clients, that's their role, they're going to perform better because they have that thing that drives them built into their business.
Exactly.
Right? Not everybody can be the boss, and not everybody, can do the sales, and not everybody can train clients. And that's why, do the DISC assessment. I would make it mandatory. I would say, go download this, get it out to your employees and your team, and then have a meeting with each person. Read them, understand what it is, let them read theirs, and then have a sit down, and then start reorganizing the functions.
Functions, exactly.
One of the things that our coaches do is have other job responsibilities other than training clients, right? So training clients every day and then going home for the day, I mean, that's cool and all, but that doesn't drive. You lose coaches pretty quick because they burn out and they don't have other things they can do. And
well, let's talk about it from the business standpoint as well. You know what I mean? The responsibilities of your trainers here, there's not a lot of things that they're responsible for outside of training, but there are certain things that just need to get done.
Yep. And
they fall on the plate of those trainers. In this industry and working with a lot of the coaching clients that we do, there's something about trainers that even gym owners and fitness directors, like, you guys cater to their ego. Not you necessarily, but like gym owners at whole. Well, it's like we cater to their egos. Oh, my trainers won't do that. Who's signing the damn check?
Right.
What do you mean your trainer won't do that? They're your employee. You hired them for the job that you set up, not necessarily the job they want to do.
That's very true.
And so everybody's got tasks that we don't want to do. It's part of just shit has to happen. Yeah. But at the end of the day, some of those tasks can be shared, and that's my challenge for you guys is look at especially your trainers, because feedback is always just letting trainers run the show, like they're intangible, and they're guys. They're a dime a dozen in this. Like there's trainers everywhere, not necessarily the right ones and not necessarily good ones, but don't let your training staff dictate their responsibilities in your business.
Or their hours, or this.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what they will and won't do. I mean, if they're not a good fit, maybe get them off the bus, right? That's another option. You have that option as the owners, guys.
Yeah,
don't be held hostage.
I was going to say, don't feel stuck or held hostage by somebody that is in your organization and not willing to play team.
You have to make tough decisions sometimes. I've made plenty, and I'm probably making some here pretty soon. It's just like it's part of the thing. You got to make some decisions every once in a while, and it's got to happen. So.
And a lot of this episode has come from the staffing conversations we're having with our private clients. I mean, this week we had a client had to let go a trainer that's been there for years, and it was because the invested interest of that trainer became very apparent that it was no longer in the direction that the business was going. Very self-serving, disconnected. When it wasn't on the, when they weren't on the training floor, it was gone. Boom, not my problem. Out of, can't reach them outside of the time that they're in the gym. Like there are so many indicators as to where this person is that ultimately it was not, the right path for them anymore. And that's okay. And they ended things on decent terms. She obviously knew things were coming. She, like some of the decisions the business had been, hiring new staff, pulling some of her hours, things like that. But ultimately, the conversation just had to happen. And it's good that it did, because it gives clarity for, even from the trainer's side of things. She's not emotionally invested in this business, so therefore she's not going to be delivering 100%, showing up every day. Let her go do her own thing. And she can be happy there. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? Just part ways. Like sometimes it's just okay to have that conversation and part ways.
Everybody listening has somebody probably in their organization right now that they should probably get rid of. Probably not everybody, but I'm going to say the majority of listening. You're thinking about that one.
Yeah, somebody's name comes to mind.
And you're thinking about that one employee or maybe more that it's their time, but you've been holding on because you've been held hostage because of a thing. Have a conversation. If you can fix it, fix it. But if it's time to go, don't hold on. Just like that coaching client you're talking about. I know how long she's been holding on.
Literally. So today's Friday when we're recording this. The conversation was yesterday when her and I were talking about it. They, from the business standpoint, kind of laid out a game plan for when they were going to terminate her. It was going to be a matter of a few weeks. My suggestion was the next day. Just so happened that they went back into the business later in that day. Their trainer was there, executed a training, came into the office because of the disconnect. That conversation was able to happen, and then they parted ways 6 hours after our conversation, as opposed to weeks down the road.
And she's relieved she did it.
Huge. She goes, I feel like this weight came off my shoulders, and now she can focus on where she needs to be, back to intentionality, back to moving the needle, back to the things that she needs to do, not reacting and responding to how this trainer is showing up each day.
And I think some of the problem where you hold on to people is, you don't think you can replace them, right? I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt, every time that we've lost a coach and brought a new one on, we've grown better. It's always been better because it's always been just too long, hanging on too long. And
it's one, we care about our staff.
Yeah.
We care about the people we work with, and it doesn't have to be a personal bad thing. Sometimes people just don't fit into an organization. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is something to be said about allowing that trainer to go, like cutting the cord. Let them go fly. Like maybe you want more. I don't have that to provide. Go find it with an organization that does fit you.
It doesn't have to be personal.
No.
And a lot of times gym owners can't find another coach, or they don't think because the the pipeline that you have is dry and you got a bunch of crap coming in. I would say take your time. If you're going to have to train clients in the meantime, do it. We've got a great podcast coming up soon. We're waiting for the guests to come in town, talking about where to find some of the best talent, some organizations that he works with that could probably help a lot of people. He's just not in town. He is coming in about a month, so stay tuned for that one.
A few episodes from now.
Yeah, he's a friend of the podcast, and he's a friend of Pulse, so he's gonna come in and drop some knowledge on everybody. But that'll be a big help. Nothing to help with right now, but I would look on Indeed and Craigslist and current clients and ask for referrals. Ask your current coaches if they know anybody in the industry.
That's been a big one lately. Is a lot of the clients that we've been working with, their coaches have been sourcing other coaches.
Yep.
Because you're in the mix. These are friends of yours. The conversations are happening. Other trainers. Pull from that group.
Yep.
And so that's been a great resource for a lot of the clients we've been working with.
So I guess the action items from this podcast, number one, get that DISC assessment, get that in the hands, have everybody fill that out. Again, it's only going to take 10, 15 minutes, but then set a meeting to go over those like at the next week or something, or a couple days down the road. Get a chance to read them, read the DISC assessment, read how to read them, because that's another thing, how to read these things. But it gives you so much information. I think you guys can use that as a tool. We've used it, so that would be your action item. And
then use it.
Then use it.
But then shuffle around some of those responsibilities, or move people on that bus, because again, the knowledge, it's data, right? It's giving you the information you need. Interpret it, but use it. Do something with that information. Don't just go, okay, cool. Now I know what everybody's motivated by. All right, back to the job you're already doing. You know what I mean?
Take action on it, obviously, and it's all going to be for the better. So hopefully that helps you. Guys, keep crushing. If you're interested in the automation workshop, that's pfmarketingsolutions.com/automation. And if you're interested in the course, it's clacourse.com. Guys, until next episode, keep crushing. See you. Bye.